Hey everyone, welcome back to Code's Row. In this video, I want to go over a few of the Unreal Engine 5.6 previews that's coming out pretty soon. And let's just go ahead and take over it. So if you see in this post that's linked in the description below, there is a link that goes over the state of Unreal and the public roadmap. So if you go ahead and click on this roadmap, you're going to see all the new additions to Unreal Engine 5.6. Titles over here. So this is rendering, this is character and animation over here. And then if we scroll down, you'll see world building, PCG, developer iteration, and so on. And you'll see that there are a ton of content that's happening right now in Unreal Engine 5.6. And it is currently preview, so you may not see all of these live. So, for example, one of the things I'm most interested in is Mass Entity Builder, which is experimental, and the Simplified Mass Processor API. So, just because right now I'm kind of into RTS stuff or top downs with a ton of characters on the screen at the moment, as well as they're changing the content browser. So if you go ahead and just look at this, you'll see that there are a couple. There's like a new tab for some of your folders. So for example, you can have your project down here. You can have your favorites up here. It's just a small redesign, and then also the viewport navigation. You can set the scale up here. Just a quick access, easy to use type stuff if you're not using keybinds and so on, and just for visibility. And another very useful feature that I'm actually looking into is the H.264 movie support. This is basically the media file that I render in for YouTube, H.264. And then also up here, there is a Photoshop layer import, which is really nice. So you can import your Photoshop design files natively into the engine now. And it's really nice because Photoshop's are really good for making UI elements, background images, anything visually oriented that's a still image. And yeah, very useful, and looking forward to that one. Also, a very important note is that there is a sub world partition HLOTs coming out, which is this partitioning optimizations, and this will really help you open up really large files. So a while back, Epic Games made a project called Project Titan, which is this huge over 100 gigabyte sample project that a bunch of collaborators collabed on, added their assets into this world, and created a huge world. So what I'm hoping is when that world partition optimization happens for Unreal Engine 6, if you were to open this project in UE6, then you wouldn't really have that optimization issue, because I've gotten a ton of requests to either send them files from this project or just help open it because it's such a huge file, and it's still really laggy if you're loading everything at the same time, which you obviously shouldn't load everything at the same time. If of a world this big, you can just load single partitions, but the initial world that does open is a pain in the neck to download and to open up, and especially to download shaders. So hopefully this new UE 5.6 tool fixes that with subworld partition HLODs. So now let's actually download 5.6.0 preview and open it up and check out some of the new templates and the new changes. So I'm going to go ahead and create a project called Preview 5.6 and hit create. And later on, with the release of Unreal Engine 5.6, they are going to release more templates. So, for example, this vehicle template that you're seeing on the screen right now, this is a top down template that was also shown via the Unreal Engine stream. And if you want to take a look at this whole video, it is an hour 40 minutes. I'll go ahead and link that in the description below. Actually, you know what? I'll pin it in the comments below so you can just click on it. It'll be easier to find. There's also this side scroller template if you're looking to create a side scrolling RPG or some platformer. And this is a true FPS shooter template. I thought it was super cool how they show how loot is acquired, some sort of teleporters, sample AI characters. It looks like a really pretty FPS shooter template. But yeah, I think that's super cool. This looks like an asset pack itself. Hopefully these templates don't create too many kind of like asset flip looking games where they all kind of have like the same controls, same look and feel, and so on. And they even have a horror template, which is freaking awesome because I know Unreal Engine is very popular with horror games, especially because the realism helps put fear in the players. So while showing those off, it looks like my shaders didn't compile yet, so I'll be back when this does compile. See you in just a second. All right, so Unreal 5.6 is now open, and the first thing you'll notice is that there are some UI changes. So for example, there's this top bar here. So you'll see over here this magnet button, which is our snapping setting, and this scale feature, and actor, socket, planner, location, so on. And then over here, you'll see it's a toggle whether the object snap to surfaces when you drag them. So if I go ahead and leave this on, and if I were to just move them, you'll see that it is snapping to a lot of little places, and it's kind of just going to go right along the whatever mesh is in the space right now. Whereas if I turn this off, it will just kind of float up and down and wherever. And you'll still see this snapping effect from all the other things turned on. So for example, we have this grid snapping, and then you also have your angle increments, And then you also have your resize. So for example, if I wanted to snap 0.25 resize at a time, and if I just turn this off, it'll resize much more smoothly, like so. And you'll also notice in the content browser on the bottom left, you'll see now there is a specific tab for favorites and one for the actual project itself. And then you'll see collections down here. You can open it or close it or whatever. You'll also see the Fab button here to just quickly open up Fab and import whatever files you need to. And one of my favorite features, which is especially beginner friendly, is that if you hover over any of these, for example, and just hold Control and Alt and then click on this, you'll see that it expands and actually shows you a better description and so on of this actual object, for example. So this is showing the select and translate object. And then there's a really nice description with a few keybinds, and you can even hit the learn more online to go ahead and actually see the documentation for it. So if I go ahead and click this, it's going to take me directly to the viewport controls in Unreal Engine, which talks about the actual keys and stuff of, for example, the transform controls. And yeah, just really, really cool stuff. Unreal Engine has been working to make their engine more beginner friendly, which is also the reason why they're releasing the new templates. It's also because a lot of people will open the engine, get really confused, and close it. And they also feel like the Lyra sample project they've created is actually very underrated and should be used as learning best practices. So these templates are also made in a way where they'll give you some very minimal best practices on how to use the engine itself. But overall, if you do hover over something and hold Control and Alt at the same time, I feel like this is a very cool way to get a really nice image and a little description on exactly what it does. And if I were to create a material, for example, you can also see the same thing applied to these. So for example, I just made a vector 3. If I hold Control Alt, it's just going to give a better tooltip description, which is very nice. And if for whatever reason you want to go back to the old version of the UI, there's actually 3 options that you can do. So if you were to just type in tool menus viewport toolbars, you can go ahead and click 0 to actually revert back to how it used to look. So you'll see you have these little highlighted perspective, lit, and show, and then the old tooltips or the old tools up here in the top right, which is probably maybe a little bit more UI compact if you're very much used to Unreal. And then if you go ahead and change the value to 1, you're going to see both versions. So you're going to see both this part over here and this toolbar up here, which is essentially the same thing and a little bit repetitive, but I feel like the top one is kind of nice. It's just something a little different from what I'm used to seeing. And if I were to change it to 2, you'll see that this part now disappears down here and it only leaves the top toolbar. And overall, just a pretty cool change just in case you wanted to revert back to the old one, or if you want both for whatever reason, you have your option to do so. And that covers a very introductory overview of UE 5.6, going over some templates, the roadmap ahead, and just some of the new UI features that we saw in Unreal 5.6. In the next video, in future videos, I do want to go over the updates to the MetaHuman and also some of the new modeling tools that did come out with 5.6. And of course, 5.6 is still in preview, so if you see any bugs, don't worry, I'm sure that we'll fix that. Thanks for watching Code of the Row. Like, subscribe, comment what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.